Welcome to tonight's INFOWARS Nightly News. Today's date is Wednesday, September 10th, 2014, and we're on the eve of exactly 13 years before the worst false flag attack in America's history. This attack was used to create the Department of Homeland Security, the TSA, and systematically dismantle any privacy rights that you may have thought that you had in this once great republic. I'm your host, Rob Dew, and here's a look at our top stories.
Tonight, an anti-gun group takes control of the 9/11 ceremony. Then, a new model shows the potential of an Ebola outbreak. And actor James Woods issues a challenge to the Attorney General. That's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
Insanely, Eric Holder has come out and said it's basically racism that people are treating him with, quote, disrespect when he's ignored congressional subpoenas for 4 years.
Our top story tonight is out of INFOWARS.com from Paul Joseph Watson. It is Obama set to ignore Congress and announce Syria strikes tonight. But before we get to what Paul Joseph Watson had to write, I want to read to you what the Washington Post said based on his article. Here it is. President Obama is prepared to use U.S. military airstrikes in Syria as part of an expanded campaign to defeat the Islamic State and does not believe he needs formal congressional approval to take that action, according to people who have spoken with the president in recent days. So that's when you have the Washington Post, the mouthpiece of the political establishment, spewing the establishment's talking points for it in a nice way, letting you know it's all okay, and the president really doesn't need approval. Here's what Paul Joseph Watson had to write. President Barack Obama is set to ignore Congress once again by launching military strikes inside Syria without consulting lawmakers, a move that threatens to inflame the entire region, given that the Assad government has repeatedly insisted it will consider any military activity inside Syrian territory as an act of war. He continues, in citing ISIS, which was armed and funded by the United States' biggest allies in the region, as a justification for the military campaign inside Syria, Obama is set to accomplish what the administration failed to achieve last year after the chemical weapons attack in Ghouta was blamed on the Assad government, despite a subsequent MIT report which concluded the incident was more likely the work of U.S.-backed rebels. Now, what does that mean? That means that you're going to hear a bunch of talking points from the media that we're going to be backing moderate Syrian rebels who actually fund ISIS and give ISIS the weapons that we give them. And you're also going to see this ramp up of, oh, it's chemical attacks. We got to go in because the Assad regime has chemical weapons. It's the same story that we see over and over again. And our reporting team we have up in New York right now of Joe Biggs, Leanne McAdoo, and Josh Owens is up there. And they filed this report last night from Times Square concerning the recent ISIS so-called attacks.
I'm Joe Biggs with INFOWARS.com in New York City's Times Square. Right now, we know that there is an imminent threat by ISIS. You've seen our reports at the southern borders. You've seen what O'Keefe did in Canada, crossing over into America. So we know it's very easy for a terrorist group such as ISIS, which is also the largest terrorist group in the world, to come into America. We're here right now for the 13th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. This is not by incident. We know the Obama administration has turned their head on many things. We know that our government let Pearl Harbor happen. So what makes you think this won't happen again? We also know that there are 28 pages that are classified still in the 9/11 report. Right now, I want to encourage you, the Info Warrior, the person watching this, to help support Ron Paul and the Info War. Make a video, put it on social media, send it to us so we can let the people know that we want these 28 pages declassified. We've heard from Ron Paul that based off seeing this stuff and the people he's talked to, that he knows that President Bush had prior knowledge to the attacks before they happened. What makes you think that this could not happen again? We have this huge ISIS threat going on. They are the most well-funded group in the world. We're here right now where millions of people come every year to see the lights, to see what's going on. The world's eyes are on Times Square because the ISIS Jihadi magazine says that this is one of their #1 spots to hit. This is serious. This is a crazy time in American history, and you better keep watching. You better see what's going on, because I tell you right now that this is not a mistake. This is by design. We know with World Trade 7 falling out of nowhere, it looked like a demolition. Really? And you're going to sit there and say, no, that just happened out of nowhere? It was a complete and total planned collapse. The building's falling like that. Come on. There's so many truths out there for you to turn your eye and not pay attention to what's going on. So I encourage you, please, so much from the bottom of my heart. The only reason I joined the military is because of the attacks that happened here. And to wake up and find out that this was an inside job breaks my heart. Every time I come to New York City, I literally tear up. The cab ride here choked me up because I know when I go out there Thursday, I'm going to break down like I always do because I lost some of my best friends I've ever had in my entire life because of the attacks that happened, the wars we started, the millions of people who have died all over this world. It makes me sick to my stomach to see people still sleeping and not awake to what really happened. You need to wake up because the stuff going on out here isn't fake. Our government's behind it, and I'm Joe Biggs with INFOWARS.com bringing you updates out here right now.
So Joe Biggs and others are asking the question, will Times Square or other parts of New York be part of an anniversary attack? Will it be a false flag attack? Will it be a real attack? Either way, an attack will be used to take away our liberties. That is for certain, as we've seen time and time again from the underwear bomber on through all the other FBI informant fake bomb plots that have gone on in the United States. That's one thing for sure. It will be used to take away our liberties. One of the things also he mentioned in there were the 28 pages missing out of the 9/11 Commission report that have been classified. And momentum has been gathering big time. And September 1st, we published an article from Washington's blog, Movement to Declassify 9/11 Information Gathers Momentum. Lee Hamilton and Thomas Keane, who were the 9/11 Commission co-chairs, have said that 60 to 70% of what was classified shouldn't have been classified in the first place. We've also had Representative Thomas Massey come out and give a speech. He actually went down into the secret room where you weren't allowed to take an iPhone or take notes or anything. You had an FBI agent present. He was actually able to read the 28 pages, and he came out and said he immediately called for them to be released to the public. And even Congressman Ron Paul has come out and said this needs to go, and he's even trying to make a hashtag promotion out of it, a Twitter promotion, to get people to ask, just release the information, the whitewash information that you have, so we can make our own decisions. And here's a collection of those clips right now.
Yes, they should be. I'm embarrassed that they're not declassified. We emphasize throughout transparency. And when I assumed incorrectly that our records would be public, all of them, everything. And then when I learned that a number of the documents were classified or even redacted, I was surprised and disappointed. I want those documents declassified. I'm embarrassed to be associated with a work product that is secret.
This is something that the families deserve to know. This information, it's been a decade, over a decade, 13 years since this event happened. And we've had a narrative in the media and in the press and in the collective American conscience of what happened that day, but I don't think it's fully informed, and it won't be fully informed until everybody gets to see these 28 pages. And just to echo what Congressman Lynch said, I'm here for the families, but I'm also here for our country to look forward. We have to decide how to prevent another 9/11 type event from happening. Until you have the full picture of what actually happened, the intelligence picture, how can you participate in that debate? How can we know that what we do will prevent another 9/11 from happening?
I deserve to know the truth hidden in the 9/11 report, and so do you. Join me in the hashtag Declassify campaign and make your voice heard.
So it's not just nut job, tinfoil hat wearing crazy conspiracy theorists that are asking that the government release what it considers the full story. It's actually people who were on the commission, current representatives and former representatives that are asking for this information to be released. And you can join in on by just asking your congressman and your representative and your senator, release the information. Now let's move on to the other big thing that's trending in the news, the iPhone, or as we like to say, the apple of Sauron's eye here at InfoWars. But I want to start off with this story first, because this iPhone and these smartphones and these tablets, this cashless society that's coming in, we're not going to be the ones that are going to be fully enveloped into it. We're the ones that are going to have to be whipped into it because we're not going to go quickly. We still like cash. We still like credit cards. We still like things that just aren't one thing holds all. We don't like that. We don't like the one ring of power. We like to have our assets spread out. But the children out there, my children included, are literally addicted to these new objects. My little baby understands how you can move your finger across a phone and look at pictures because I've showed him pictures of it before. My 4-year-old loves the tablet. My 9-year-old loves the tablet. I mean, it is scary stuff out there. And here's an article from the Mail Online. Generation helpless. Children are now better at using smartphones than swimming, tying their shoelaces, and even telling time. Now, before we go any further, I just want to say this. My 2 oldest know how to tie their shoes, and they're great swimmers, and they know how to tell time. But I feel really bad for children out there that do not know how to do those things, but know how to activate a tablet. Let's go into the article. Findings revealed more children could use a tablet than tie their shoelaces. This is true for swimming and telling time. And a third of 2 to 4-year-olds own a tablet and spend an average of 2 hours and 35 minutes a day on these devices. And then they have a chart here in this article. What can your child do confidently? And then they list the activities. Riding a bike, 60%. Maneuver around a tablet, 59%. Work a mobile phone, 57%. And then they have read, 57%. Tie their shoelaces, 53%. Swim, 52%. And tell the time, 49%. Very scary stats indeed. And it goes on even scarier. Ages 5 to 7, these kids spend an average of 3 hours a day on these tablets. And it gets worse. As you get older, 8 to 10, they're spending nearly an average of nearly 4 hours if you combine video games, phones, and computers. 4 hours a day looking at a screen, not running around, not breathing fresh air, not having a good time with their friends, but isolated one-on-one with that computer, which is teaching you a lot of things. Believe me, it's teaching you a lot, more than you should know at that age. Pretty scary stuff, which leads us back to the iPhone and this video yesterday that Paul Joseph Watson released. iPhone 6, is Apple Pay the mark of the beast? We go to that report.
Today saw the launch of the new Apple iPhone 6, but what flew under the radar amidst the hype surrounding the release of the new device is the fact that the Apple Pay system, which is being supported by Visa, MasterCard and American Express, will mandate users scan their fingerprints in order to make a purchase. Does this represent the mark of the beast system mentioned in the Bible? Well, yes, according to many people on Twitter who exploded with concerns about how Apple was becoming a little too, quote, antichristy. What's the mark of the beast? Well, it's a passage out of Revelations which states, quote, and he causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, and the free men and the slaves, to be given a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, and he provides that no one will be able to buy or to sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name, and his number is 666. So for many decades, Christians have been warning about the fact that this mark of the beast was going to come in the form of either a microchip, a digital tattoo, or the fingerprint itself, and that it would be mandated for all purchasers. Obviously, there are already numerous different versions of payment systems which use either the fingerprint scan or the palm scan already in existence, but Apple Pay is the first one to have the direct backing of all the big boys, Visa, MasterCard and American Express, as well as major stores like Macy's, McDonald's, Bloomingdale's and Whole Foods. They're already going to have this technology in place, ready to use when the Apple iPhone 6 rolls out. The International Business Times reports, with Apple Pay, iPhone users hold their phones up to near-field communication NFC terminals, hold their finger onto the device's fingerprint sensor, and the transaction is completed wirelessly. Apple promises that it won't sell your private purchase data to other companies or to the government, just like it didn't provide, quote, direct access, according to Edward Snowden, to Apple's backdoor database to the National Security Agency. Oh, and let's not concern ourselves either about the fact that an NSA slide referred to iPhone users as, quote, zombies, and to Steve Jobs as Big Brother. But wait, there's more. The Apple iWatch. As if you're not looking at your cell phone enough while avoiding humanity and the nagging voice of